He had almost forgotten her. The galaxy was vast, and time stretched like an endless void between the stars. Yet when he stepped onto the dimly lit space station orbiting the icy moon of Tarion, there she was, waiting in the corner of a crowded docking bay. Her body was frail, supported by a metallic exoskeleton that hissed softly as it shifted with her movements. She looked at him with eyes full of recognition, yet shaded by caution. "Do you remember me?" she asked, her voice a fragile echo of what it must have been years ago. He froze, memories flooding back like a supernova. He remembered the mission, the crash, and the desperate, impossible choices they had made together. She had been injured, left behind on that distant world. And yet she had survived, defying odds that no one could have believed possible. Humans called them heroes, but it had been her courage that had saved lives, not theirs. I do, he said finally, his voice rough from disuse. The docking bay seemed to shrink around them, hum of machinery and chatter of alien merchants fading into a distant blur. Her gaze softened. "I didn't think anyone would come back for me." He took a cautious step closer. "I had to. You weren't just another casualty, you mattered." She allowed herself a small, almost shy smile. It was strange, seeing such a delicate expression on someone whose reputation among her own people had been that of an unbreakable warrior. The contrast made him ache inside, knowing how much pain she must have endured to reach this moment. Her name was Lyra, though most of her kind called her something else, something that sounded harsh and alien on human tongues. But he had learned her name, and he used it now as a tether to the past. To the days when they had laughed in the face of death together. "You've changed," she said softly, her fingers brushing the edge of her exoskeleton. "Humans always change, and you?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. Her body bore the scars of survival, of battles fought alone. Her exoskeleton hissed and whirred as she moved, a mechanical promise to hold her together where flesh had failed. Yet despite the metal and wires, her eyes burned with the same fire he remembered. She had endured, and in her endurance, she had become stronger than anyone could imagine. Lyra gestured toward a quieter corridor leading away from the docking bay. "Walk with me." He followed, keeping his gaze steady on her. Every step reminded him of the missions they had shared, of the trust they had built in the heart of danger. They walked in silence at first, the station's lights casting long shadows across the metal floor, until she finally spoke. "I heard you rescued the colony on Vera." Her voice held a mixture of pride and disbelief. "Humans, you always fight when no one else will." He shrugged. "We do what we have to. But it wasn't just me. My team, everyone risked everything." He paused, searching her expression. "You've taught me more than anyone else, Lyra, about courage, about refusing to give up." She shook her head, a faint laugh escaping her lips. "I was nothing. I was trapped. You were the one who reached out, who took my hand when the world had already written me off." His chest tightened. "You were never nothing. You survived. You adapted, you. You reminded us that life is worth fighting for, even when it seems impossible." The corridor ended in a small observation deck overlooking the icy surface of Tarion. Snow swirled in the thin atmosphere below, illuminated by the cold light of a distant sun. Lyra approached the glass, and he stood beside her. Feeling the weight of years pressing between them, "I lost everything when the crash happened," she said quietly. "My people, my family, my world." Her voice trembled, but she did not turn to face him. "I thought that was the end, that there would be nothing left of me." "But you're here," he said. "You survived. You're still standing, Lyra. That counts for something. That means everything." Oh, she finally looked at him. And he could see the storm behind her eyes, the grief, the anger, the loneliness, and beneath it, a fragile hope. "I almost didn't believe it when I heard your name on the transmission," she admitted. "I thought maybe the humans had moved on, that I was forgotten." "You're not forgotten," he said firmly. "Not by me, not by anyone who knows what it takes to survive. You're proof that even when everything seems lost, someone still fights back." A silence settled over them, not uncomfortable, but heavy with understanding. He had seen death too many times, faced hopeless situations where surrender seemed easier than survival. Yet standing here with her, he felt the raw, unfiltered truth of humanity, the refusal to give up, the stubborn courage to continue. No matter the odds, Lyra's fingers traced the edge of the observation deck's glass, as if grounding herself to something real. "I've heard stories about humans," she murmured. "How you fight, how you endure. I never thought I'd see it firsthand, and yet, here you are," he smiled, a faint, tired curve of his lips. "It's not just about fighting, Lyra. It's about hope. About holding on to something worth living for, even when the universe seems determined to crush it." Her gaze softened, and for the first time since he had known her, she reached out her hand. The exoskeleton moved in sync, allowing her fingers to brush against his. "Then, thank you," she whispered, "for remembering. For coming back." He held her hand gently, the warmth of it strange against the cold metal of her suit. "I'll always come back. That's what humans do." They stood together, two survivors in a galaxy that often seemed indifferent to life. And in that small observation deck, with snow swirling far below and stars scattered across the void, something unspoken passed between them, bond forged in fire, loss, and the stubborn resilience that defined humanity. Lyra spoke again, her voice steadier this time. "I want to join you wherever you're going next. I want to fight to see the worlds beyond this frozen moon. I don't want to hide anymore." He hesitated for a moment, looking at the fragile yet unyielding figure beside him. She had survived alone for years, and now she was offering herself freely, ready to walk alongside humanity rather than be left behind. "Are you sure?" he asked. "This life, it's dangerous. You've already endured so much." "I'm sure," she said, her eyes shining with resolve. "I've learned that fear won't protect me. Only action will. Only moving forward." And with that, he knew the decision was made. Together, they would venture into the unknown. Two beings from different worlds, united by trust, survival, and a shared understanding of what it truly meant to fight for life. The docking bay doors opened, and the hum of the station faded into the background. He led the way to his ship, with Lyra close beside him, her exoskeleton adjusting and worry softly with each step. The crew awaited them, curious and cautious, but there was no hesitation in his mind. She belonged with them now. She belonged with humanity, not because she was human, but because she understood what humans represented: the courage to continue, the strength to endure, the unwavering refusal to abandon hope. As they boarded the ship, Lyra paused and looked back at the observation deck one last time. The icy moon below seemed smaller now, insignificant, compared to the vast expanse ahead. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding and stepped forward. He glanced at her, a quiet pride swelling in his chest. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded, her hand brushing against his once more. "Let's go." And together they launched into the stars, leaving behind the shadows of loss and the frozen remnants of a world that had tried to break her. Humanity's ship sailed forward, carrying not just explorers, but survivors, warriors, and the indomitable spirit that refused to surrender in the silence between the stars. She whispered once more, almost to herself, "Thank you for remembering me," he smiled, knowing that the galaxy would remember her too. For in the end, it was not power, technology, or armies that defined a civilization. It was courage, compassion, the unyielding determination to reach out to someone lost in the dark and bring them home. And so, the story of a disabled alien woman who once had no hope became a story of resilience, trust, and the undeniable strength of humanity. She had survived the impossible, and now, with humans at her side, she would face the universe not as a victim, but as a warrior reborn.